Have you ever seen a Bollywood movie before? Perhaps you've seen an advertisement for one. Maybe you noticed the fair-skinned people on the cover, or the not-so-subtle racism against dark-skinned human beings. Well, if not, I'm here to call it out. Ask, why is this still happening in 2020? And what can we do as individuals to make a change? This is a presentation based upon a report I've written, Colour Inequality, Why Bollywood Needs to Change Their Stand on Racism in 2020. This is where I gathered my research on the issue of racism in Bollywood film. It attempts to understand the scope of racism that is prevalent in Bollywood films, how and where this racism originated, and what does this racism look like today. Through my research, I've found that the basis of this prejudice is not necessarily about different beliefs or really even races, but the ideology embedded in this society against being a darker colour. In Bollywood, the colour white is representative of good and black is representative of bad. I think of this as being on a colour spectrum where Bollywood actors and endorsers preach that the fairer you are, the better. If you're to go and Google racism in Bollywood, you will find countless articles exposing this issue and complaining about it. Indian men and women are constantly being misrepresented, and dark-skinned people are constantly being degraded. They're sick of it, and we should be too. It is believed that some of this racism was born out of the colonial period, where Africans and Indians were subject to slavery and European influence spread a great deal of prejudice against darker-skinned people. Trian mentions this writing. Blackness is positioned at the bottom of a racial order developed during colonial rule and refined in the post-colonial period. Colour, however, was not a determinant of beauty or purity in early Indian times. Skin colour and physical features were a factor of one's environment and geographical location. During the colonial period, the British degraded dark-skinned Indians and gave higher-ranking jobs to the lighter-skinned Indians. The high-ranking image of lighter skin has now been endorsed further in the media. It is no longer an association with ethnicity or caste, but simply as a symbol of beauty. This means that actors of lighter skin colours are the ones that make it into the entertainment industry, and everyday men and women are persuaded into using skin lightening creams to fit into this ideology. Mishra brings this to light, writing, "There are few actors or actresses in the Indian movie industry who have dark skin tone, which means most of the movies, television, print, advertisement portray fairer skinned models and actors. This is ironic because India's population is largely comprised of darker skinned people. And this is what I mean by the misrepresentation of the Indian people." While watching Bollywood films, not only will you notice the fair-skinned Indian characters, you'll also notice a lot of blackface or brownface. This is when a lighter-skinned person paints their skin a darker colour to represent their character. These characters are usually more barbaric or criminal than their lighter-skinned co-workers. This is highlighted in Natzer's work where he states Hindi cinema consistently show dark-skinned people as servants, villains, figures of ridicule, and the rock bottom of society. An example of this is seen in the popular Bollywood film Fashion starring Priyanka Chopra. The woman goes through many dark stages of her life, including drug use, but the main pitfall of Priyanka's character was when she was seen having a one-night stand with an African man. This is only one example. Natzer in his 2020 article lists multiple movies with similar racist moments. These include Mother India, where she has two sons, a lighter-skinned and a darker-skinned boy. The actor has to blacken his face to play the character and was portrayed as the bad son, eventually being shot dead by the mother. The film Interquam, made in 1969, is a movie that portrays an Indian man in a blackface, trapped in a cage pretending to be an African savage. The problem with these films is not only that they are hurtful and degrading, but it also allows for the society to become casually racist with little or no consequences. It has become deep-rooted in the culture, and those racist acts are seen and heard everywhere. They have now become normal. Trian creates a vignette of this racism against Africans in India through his ethnographic study, Desiring Bollywood, Restaging Racism, Exploring Difference. This article follows an African man, Jason, who moved to India aspiring to pursue his Bollywood acting career. Those involved in this article restaged Jason's migration and the racism he experienced on his journey in order to reach new insights. Whilst playing out an arrest scene, the Indian character playing a policeman is asked to improvise the arrest. He immediately turned to accusing Jason of drug dealing. For the actor, based on what they had seen on TV, black male bodies were always associated with criminality. In the year 2020, it's easy to believe we're becoming more open-minded and progressive. This is true in some instances. Many Bollywood actors are calling out the American police for brutality against African Americans, particularly after the killing of George Floyd. Many researchers, however, suggest this is simply bandwagon activism. Supporting African Americans was the in thing to do at the time of the Black Lives Matter protests. This unfortunately makes sense, as very little Bollywood actors are calling out their racism in their own industry. It's our duty to call out these issues if changes aren't being made on a higher level. The more we bring this racism to the surface, the more support we will gain, and producers will have to make a change to be able to succeed in the industry. Money is what makes the modern day world go round. If we're not giving our money to these racist companies, how will they keep producing racist films? Thank you.